let's go ahead and talk about those methods. Now, there are many methods out there. I'm just going to talk about the most 9 common that have been around for quite a long time. And there is luring, shaping, containment, wires, Weavomatics, 2x2 angle, channels, 2x2 straight line, and then of course, a combination thereof. Let's go ahead and talk about luring first. So luring is literally where you have a treat and your hand is right in front of the dog's nose. And what you need to know is this can create a dog and handler dependence, which means that the handler is always helping or doing for the dog. Ultimately, in competition, this is probably not the method that you want to use because it requires you to be in the perfect place at the perfect time. And quite frankly, as a handler, you have places to go. Shaping. So what you need to know about shaping is basically it requires a very good degree of shaping knowledge on multiple weave pole topics at the same time. So the entry, the footwork, it can be very difficult. Can it be done? Absolutely. Is it the main method that most people know or use? They do not. As a matter of fact, luring is how we used to do weave poles, I would say about 25 years ago. Most people don't do that anymore. Shaping is not often used, although some do it. It's not one of the top ones that I would suggest. Next, let's talk about what full containment looks like. This is one example. Basically, it requires proper setup. It can interfere in a dog's natural foot movement, and it can create aversion due to the dog feeling caged in. Also, while this may help to teach the dog to weave, the next part is that you also have to fade away all of the items that you've added in. So that could potentially add time. This is a method that while it can work, it has to be very specific to the dog, their size. And then, like I said, then you've got to take all of that out by fading it slowly away. Next, there is what we call just the wire method. So there are guide wires that are actually put on straight up and down poles. And what you need to know is while it can work on its own as a semi-containment method, we've also seen great results when it's paired with an aid, paired as an aid with other weave pole methods. So the wires on their own, not too terribly bad. Sometimes it can cause confusion with the dog and the footwork as it figures it out, but the wires can really be helpful when it's paired with another method. Weavomatic. So what to know? Well, first of all, the Weavomatic is actually also called V-sets, and you actually take each of the poles and move it right and left. And what you need to know is it's not appropriate for most small dogs due to the non-bending knuckle height at the base of the weave poles. If you look at the base of these weave poles, you'll see silver. That is actually a knuckle that then the weave pole bends above that. And for some dogs, especially small ones, that's not going to work so well. So while it can be used to promote footwork, that's one of the things I've seen it used for very well. It may not be for all dogs, and especially because of their physical structure. All right, the 2x2 angle method. This is basically a channel method, except each pair of poles moves individually. Where this can be confusing is handlers can struggle with understanding spacing between angled poles and when and in which way to turn those pairs of poles. Next, the channels. And in this case, we actually have the channels paired with the wires in this picture. They're easy to use and understand. It promotes independence, works with all size dogs, and easily adjusts when focused on a specific weave area. For example, you can specifically work on the entry or the exit as required. So this is one of the favorite and most popular methods. The next favorite and most popular is the 2x2 straight line method, right? These two methods are fantastic. And what to know about the 2x2 straight line? It promotes independence, works with all size dogs, and when compared to the 2x2 angle, the pole rotation and movement, this is linear and it's easier to understand. This method does require advanced knowledge in shaping and rewarding behaviors, but it is absolutely wonderful, especially for those with advanced knowledge. All right, so you could spend years sniffing out the best weave pole method for yourself. And honestly, we used to encourage each of our handlers to do research into the different methods, but here's what we found. Handlers froze in place, right? They didn't move forward because they were too afraid to make a mistake in the decision. Remember that myth that I told you about, that you had to choose the perfect method? Well, that's what we learned, is handlers froze because they were afraid of making a mistake. Instead, think of this. Number one, pick a method that values your current experience and will get you to weaving in 12 weeks.